Hello and welcome back to Ideagen TV 17 Days of Sustainability. Today we are honored and excited to have Paul Surin, the Global Lead Built Environment at IBM, delivering a fascinating power talk. Paul, welcome.
Hi there. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Quite excited to have the opportunity to talk about how technology is reshaping building design for circularity, how we look at circular economy, Industry 4.0, and technology from a holistic point of view. So I'll take you through the presentation. I'll touch on a bit of micro issues. I'll talk about a bit of what's going on in the industry. How is the industry changing? What are the issues? And then I'll touch on how technology could really accelerate and help the kind of circular economy and the whole built environment. So let me take you first through the market challenges. I did mention some of the challenges we face in the construction industry. I try to summarize it in kind of three topics. We have poor construction quality. Quite often we see buildings, assets, houses, real estates, roads being poorly constructed, running in delays, running over the budget. We design in buildings which are emitting 3.8 times higher CO2 than we intended them to design to do, and that leads to disasters. Obviously, we've seen some major disasters like Grenfell Tower disaster a few years back. We've seen the Italy Bridge disaster, and these were some only tip of the icebergs of issues we see in day-to-day life, and there needs to be really a change. And the technology can help, and not just the technology, standards, regulations, but we have to see it from the holistic point of view. So in summary, the problems are that 98% of projects really incur cost and overrun or delay. We have over 80% the average cost increase to a project. 2 months is the average slippage behind the original schedule. These are some of the stats from latest McKinsey report. Penalties, asset utilization, poor customer experience. You can see that the construction industry, you can understand why the construction industry is not the most popular jobs around. And we're talking about small repair jobs to large construction projects. You look at some projects like HS2, major capital projects which are running over the budget, and then the handover from construction to operations is also poor. So if you think about we finish any project, what we hand over is quite poor. In most of our lives, actually our house is one of the biggest investments, and what we get from it in terms of the handover, do we really understand what is our house made of, down to a granular level like wall, what is in our walls? We really probably don't understand. That links to content insurances, where we kind of really guessing in terms of when we're talking to our brokers and setting up insurance for our homes. So the industry fails to understand the risk really through poorly coordinated activities and resources. And that's sets kind of dysfunctional commercial relationship, because simply the information processes and data are being disconnected. So we really need to put these basics right. And then the productivity and the is also very low. You can see on the right, from your point of view, that the construction is quite low on the digitalization, from the digitalization perspective. I think it's now even below the agriculture and hunting. But that offers an opportunity. There's an opportunity how we can really embrace, use the technology, embrace it, learn from the other industries, and really create the circular built environment. So what's going on in terms of the strategic market shifts? We already seen that, and we definitely seen a rise in the use of technology in the what we call the engineering, construction, operations, manufacturing. We've seen lots of buses going on around, modernize or die, from the farmer review of the construction labor model. We've seen Hackett review based on the Grenfell disaster. We've seen EU Green Deal, where European Union is really pushing the sector towards circularity, towards the carbon reduction, because the construction is one of the heaviest contributor to the global CO2. We're seeing a push for standardization, and we're seeing also push for, I would say, more transparency. So more end-to-end, how we can control the process, how we can make it tight. And the technology, again, could help us to do it. So in terms of how is the industry changing, so I did mention some of the strategic shifts around circular economy, EU Green Deal, but there's also new product applications. We're definitely seeing that actors are seeing data as a strategic asset. The digitalization, as we call it, also platformization. We've seen a push for a lot of offsite and module, and obviously the whole idea of smart cities, digital twinning, which underpins the whole circular economy. Bit of information on EU Green Deal, but it's really it's a set of policy initiatives by the European Commission with the overarching aim of making Europe climate neutral in 2050. It's a tough ask, but it's good to have this review of each existing law on climate merits, and also introduce new legislation on the circular economy, building innovation, biodiversity, farming, and innovation. So we need the policies, we need the stick really to push our industry towards some kind of carbon neutral sort of industry. So how the data and technology can help as an enabler towards the circular economy. Well, I did mention the issues, the pain points, mentioned the macro points. We talked about the disasters, the poor construction quality, the delays. I mentioned, the market strategic shifts, what's happening with the policies, what's happening with the Green Deal, what's happening with the whole push towards circularity. What I think also the kind of the goal, or really the key is to succeed is the holistic approach. We talk a lot about Industry 4.0. We talk a lot about IoT, AI, blockchain. So the whole technology aspect, the whole kind of, we're talking about our assets, our homes, our roads becoming intelligent. And then we're talking about circular economy, but I feel we've been really discussing it in three separate topics, where I believe, we certainly at IBM believe, the holistic approach is the key to unlock the kind of the goal towards circular built environment. Because what we see is the vertical integration of business processes, horizontal integration of value chain. On the other hand, regeneration of natural resources, increased utilization of assets, looping assets and cascading, giving the feedback towards the manufacturing so they can produce better products. They can produce a much more sustainable product. And then the whole aspect of intelligent built assets. So the IoT, the Internet of Things, knowledge of location conditions, availability of assets, predictive maintenance, smart connected product system, construction products, and digital processes. So genuinely more efficient, less resources intensive assets. And when I talk about built environment, it's probably worthwhile explaining it what's built environment, because it's probably not well known, or it might be a bit of one of the buzzwords. So when we're talking about built environment, we're talking about all forms of buildings, not just houses, but industrial, commercial, hospitals, schools, civil engineering, infrastructure, both below and above the ground. So underground, obviously, or subways. Above the ground, we're talking about the roads, the rails, and includes managed landscapes between and around the building. So obviously the whole environment we live in needs to be sustainable as well. So when we're talking about digital built environment and circular built environment, we're talking about really linking the natural environment, social infrastructure, economic infrastructure into some kind of and making the connections between the physical and digital assets. This is more details could be found in the Centre for Digital Built Britain, so the website where there is a whole details about how this could work and where we headed with it. And when we look at that perspective, we're really talking about a full life cycle. So when we're talking about a smart intelligence assets I mentioned earlier, so that's here on the project life cycle. You have on the right-hand side project life cycle. On the left-hand side, you have a manufacturer, Industry 4.0, and then the two are split between virtual world and physical world. So in the virtual world, we're obviously talking about smart intelligence asset. So building roads, bridges, product systems, knowing where they are and how they're performing. So the whole point of, can we track and trace products? Can we analyze that they really perform how they should be performing? And then loop it back basically and give it feedback to the producers of the products. The whole connected cyber physical systems, enabling the communication between product system, asset owners, occupiers, producers. So the whole chain and ecosystem enabling really the circularity. And then I mentioned the feedback on the actual performance. Do we need a maintenance, predictive maintenance, automation of reordering parts? So we can imagine having in our homes, having a boiler, the boiler, and when it breaks down, before it breaks down, you can analyze that the pump is not running in an optimal way. Should alert me as a homeowner. I should be able to contact an engineer. The engineer should be able to access what is the information. I can let it access the engineer the information about the pump, and then they can reorder the material. So the whole circular economy is one that is restorative, regenerative design, and which aims to keep the products, components, and material at their highest utilization and value at all the time. So we distinguish between technical and kind of biological cycles. So it's really the whole holistic aspect of regeneration of natural capital, increasing utilization of an asset or a resource, looping and cascading an asset through additional use life cycles. So things like we producing bricks. Bricks you should last for 100, 120 years. So are we really reusing the bricks the right way? Are we using the technology to track and trace it to the asset when it's reused, so we know what we are reusing? So extending really the whole use life cycle of product, systems, and asset at the end. And then, this kind of represents data needs to be treated as an asset to unlock the circular economy. This kind of shows how some certain data in manufacture, project design, asset management, so like performance in use, circularity, things like certification of quality, warranty, performance. I mean, I'm going back to that case where I did mention that one of the biggest investments in our life for everyone is buying our own home. If you think about when you buy a home, what you really get when you buy it, you get a pile of documents. They are very generic. What is a little bit in your house, you might get an energy certificate. But if you think about it, when you buy a car, you expect certain things. You expect warranty. You literally understand what you buy and you specify in your car. When you have a service car, the car itself alerts you that you need to go to a regular service. You turn up into a garage, they plug in, they understand everything what's in your house. They're digitally locked, basically, who's replaced what. Why can we not do it with our homes? I mean, we really, in a way, if you buy a dishwasher or washing machine, you get much more information about dishwasher and washing machine than about your house. So we really need to change that. And this is a vision with Construction Products Europe, where I chair their digitalization task group, prepared how environmental impact, technical performance, digitalization, and waste product, how that leads towards circular economy. If I look at the digitalization, things like product data templates, you're going to be building logbook. So in simplifying, building logbook equals what I just mentioned earlier about the cars, and tracking, tracing changes, any login, any replacements. So that will really lead us towards the circular economy. So to summarize it, the industry digitalization has benefited from the emergence of new digital technologies, which are completely redefining the possibilities in construction, operations, manufacturing, in the way we are hopefully going to expect different things from our assets we actually buy in as end users. I mean, getting back to the as consumers, we have high demands on products, high demands in the food industry, but for some reason we don't demand the same information, the same level of control in the construction, operations, manufacturing, in the whole built environment. So the blockchain, the Internet of Things, the cloud, the hybrid multi-cloud, automation, advanced robotics, 5G, that all AI analytics, that all will help us. But at the end of the day, the technology is here to support us, not to replace us. It needs to come also from the industry as well. So digital technologies could lead to a real use case of where we combine the digital world, physical world, the digital twins, where we can take from, this is showing from left-hand side, from simple scanning, tracking, tracing products, taking data, documents as designed, as built, models, controlling it through a standardized and I would say transparent process, and through the structured interoperable data or treating data as an asset, be able to really looking at how we can use that technology. But unless we get it right from start to finish, it would be very difficult even for AI or any of the technology to be used to its full potential. So the cognitive enterprises enable us to provide the right data to create digital twins, and thus opens new market possibilities, that opens up a complete new ways of thinking how we literally operate our built environment. And that would also hopefully open up a new way of really reaching the digital circular built environment. So the circularity, their aspect, hopefully we will achieve it the way we should achieve it. And to summarize it, kind of my presentation, and kind of really what I'm trying to say is summarizing in 5 Indian principles for sustainable and smart cities. We need to definitely invest successfully in asset and infrastructure. So built environment, I mentioned to summarize, built environment is all forms of building, all our surroundings, infrastructure up, above and below the ground. We need to deliver more for less, reduce the capex. Going back to my first slides, I did talk about the issues, poor construction quality, running over the time, more for less, reducing the cost of the failure, the disasters. We need to understand what we have in our assets, in our buildings, in our roads, in our bridges, in order to operate them effectively, long-term, reuse materials, looping it back, feeding it back to manufacturers, the producers, the engineers. We have the technology there. We just don't use it properly because our industry is so fragmented. It's consisting of 80% of small, medium businesses, and the technology needs to be available and affordable for them. And then we need to transform and disrupt existing models in order to maintain, operate for less, deliver for less. We need to change the way we've been doing it for the last 10, 15, 20 years. So we need to transform and disrupt the existing models. And last but not least, we must improve user experience. it's so poor. I mentioned earlier, you get more information about your washing machine than about your own house. So the improving user experience, engaging local businesses and services. Globalization is happening. We should not forget about the local communities, local businesses. We need to keep them safe and healthy, convenient and efficient living. We need to think about how we live. We want to have good indoor air quality, good light in our homes, because we spend a lot of time in our homes. We spend lots of times in offices. We have now new ways of working because of the COVID situation. So we would have to rethink really and transform and disrupt the existing models. So I'd like to thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. My email is up there, my Twitter and LinkedIn account. Feel free to reach me out. But hopefully, I'm giving you enough information to think about differently, maybe about circularity, to think about how circularity combined with technology and maybe a bit more transparency could transform the way we live and the way we actually operate our cities, our homes for better. So thank you very much and have a good day.